Hello everyone, I'm Cosmic and today we're going to be taking a look at the Banner Saga, a single player turn-based strategy RPG. The Banner Saga has been developed by three-man indie studio Stoic. Stoic formed in early 2012 and consists of three former BioWare employees, all of which who worked on the Star Wars The Old Republic. The game itself was birthed on Kickstarter back in March 2012 and it actually met its funding goal of $100,000 in the course of the following day, which is an impressive feat by itself. The game project eventually went on to accumulate over $723,000 from over 20,000 Kickstarter backers. Now finally the game has released as of January 14th, 2014, so let's crack on and have a look at it. From the offset, the first thing that anyone who plays this game will notice is the art. It's beautiful. I love the art style that Stoic decided to go for, it is simply striking. The art is also deceptively simplistic. While it appears to be a simple hand-drawn art, some real love and attention has clearly gone into the look by creating some great animations and eye-watering detailed characters and landscapes. Banner Saga's art is also complemented by its sound. The sound effects of the game are great and everything sounds just as you would expect it to. Where the sound does actually stand out, however, is the game's soundtrack. Frankly, it is incredible, truly fantastic. Being that the soundtrack is phenomenal, it should come as no surprise to learn that it was fully orchestrated by multi-award-winning composer Austin Wintory, who also wrote the soundtrack for the award-winning indie game Journey. The game itself is set in an epic Viking-themed fantasy realm, and the story goes that the goddess known as the Loom Mother created mankind and another race known as the Val. The Val are giant humanoids with horns that live hundreds and hundreds of years. Mankind and the Val didn't really get along so great and started bickering and fighting, and so the First Great War occurred. The gods, deciding that humans and the Val shouldn't be fighting, created another race of beings, the Dredge. They created the Dredge to be such a threat that both man and Val would have to set aside their differences and work together to stop their races being wiped out. With their new alliance, the humans and Val pushed the Dredge back into the north and the war was ended. Peace lasted until generations later when the Dredge eventually rallied their forces again, and so began the Second Great War. In the Second Great War, the Dredge were led by Sunder, powerful warlords and mages. On the brink of extinction, humanity sent forth the Circle of Weavers, who are mages, and they managed to drive the Dredge and their Sunder leaders deep underground. Since that time, peace has remained in both the lands of the men and Val. The game's story is told via several main characters, and you are sometimes, but not often, transported to take control of another individual to continue the storyline. The game does feature some voice acting, but primarily it tells a story through written text, which the static art style works really well with, as you are not missing anything while you're reading. The game's story is absolutely fantastic. You can certainly tell that Stoic have brought BioWare's sense of epic storytelling to the table, but they've added their own unique shine to it. The dialogue is so well written, each character in the game really does feel unique, and it's so refreshing to see. Speaking of characters, there are over 25 playable characters in the game. Each is strong, engaging, and really well thought out. The game really makes you care for the characters, which makes how the story progresses even tougher. Tougher, you say? In what way? Well, the game is filled, and I mean filled, with dialogue and action choices. These aren't just some meaningless choices either, these choices have real and vital consequences. A bad decision can mean deaths, and a lot of them. The game's story also progresses depending on your choices. While there is no open world element to the game, you can choose different paths to take when the question is posed to you. The game's story and choice mechanics reinforce the idea that it's not the destination, it's all about the journey. These choices also mean that as the player, the responsibility of what happens is down to you. I myself paid for my stubbornness. When travelling, one of my carts of goods took a tumble and it was about to fall off a cliff, and my favourite Val warrior caught it with one hand while the other hand secured him to a tree branch. And as the situation developed, the tree began becoming uprooted, and I had a decision to either tell him to let go of the cart and lose those valuable supplies, or try and get people to help him. And I really didn't want to lose those goods because I was really stubborn and I like material possessions. And I tried to get people to help him, only to have basically my favourite character and favourite warrior at that time pulled over the cliff with the supplies. Thus, I lost both instead of retaining at least one. The game really does have quite a dark, mature feel to it. No character is safe. It is almost very Game of Thrones-esque that any one of these characters that are in your party could die at any moment. My advice is, when you play, choose your decisions carefully. In terms of gameplay, the game is pretty solid. Combat is your traditional turn-based RPG format with movement squares. The combat works off an armor and strength system. Every character and enemy has an armor and strength stat. Strength in the game doubles for both HP and damage, so as your health decreases, so too does your attack. Armor adds defense modifiers. You must break or weaken an enemy with a high armor value before you can effectively damage their strength value. Combat abilities use the willpower stat. Each character has a varying amount of willpower. Willpower can also be used to move further and boost a normal armor or strength attack. Every time an enemy dies, you gain a willpower point, and it is placed in your battle horn at the top of the screen. You can then assign that willpower point to any character who is running low in battle. This mechanic can really save your arse. Combat overall is solid and enjoyable, but be warned, it is tough. Going in there gung-ho style will get you floored very, very quickly. Banner Saga really does take a keen tactical mind to truly succeed at it. Killing enemies earns Renown. Renown is the currency of the game, and it is used for everything, from buying items to character progression. Once your character earns enough kills in battle for a promotion, you can then use your Renown to level them up. You will then receive points to place into the various stats available. These stats include armor value, strength value, willpower value, exertion, which is the amount of willpower you can use for an action, and break, which is the amount of direct damage you can do naturally to an enemy's armor value. You can also equip your heroes with items that you find or that you can buy. Each item has a level rating, and your hero must be at that level to be able to equip it. Items provide a variety of bonuses to your character's stats and battle prowess. The game also features an injury system. Should one of your heroes fall in battle, they will become injured and incur penalties until healed. You must rest at camp for an injury to be healed. There are over 25 playable heroes in the Banner Saga, and 7 classes in total. You cannot change a hero's class, and each class has its own ability. While this limits character customization quite a lot, it does mean that when deciding on a team to field for battle, you must really think carefully about which classes and which abilities you want on the field. The Banner Saga isn't just your straightforward traditional tactical role-playing game. It adds some really great mechanics in from other genres too. In the game, you're not just a small group of heroes. You are in fact a caravan, meaning you have your heroes, a small army, and even more civilians riding your coattails. The caravan is like your own personal moving town. You must manage it, and there are 2 key mechanics for the caravan management. Those are morale and supplies. Keeping up high morale is important for anyone, especially when having a high morale means combat bonuses, but it's more than this. Suffering from low morale can cause incidents to start happening as you're travelling. For example, people may leave, become discontent, and sometimes even violent. One good way to keep up morale is to make sure that you have enough supplies. Every mouth needs fed, and supplies only last for so long. The indicator at the top of the travelling screen shows you how many days of supplies you have left. You can also buy supplies from merchants in towns with Renown. Running out of supplies is not only bad for morale, but it is also bad for the people and your army. People will die of starvation, and you will eventually just end up bleeding your army of troops and civilians away as you travel down the road. While on the road, if you encounter enemies that are too much for your party of heroes, say a couple of hundred dredge, you will enter war mode. As the enemy army begins to form up, you will be given a set of options, which are basically a set of tactics, and depending on what you think is best to do given the situation that you find yourself in, what do? Do you charge? Do you hold them off until you secure a good retreat? Do you try and avoid the enemy completely? It is completely down to you and what you think suits the situation best. But remember, every choice has a consequence, so be warned. The Banner Saga itself is set to be the first in a trilogy of games, which pleases me greatly. The story and the setting of the world has captivated my imagination, and I just want to spend hours and hours immersing myself in this world. The UI design of the game, while simplistic and nice, has clearly been designed for the use of touchscreens when the game is ported to them. While I have no real issue with this, I think that the combat UI specifically could have done with a slight size reduction for the PC. The game also does suffer from some bug issues. I myself have encountered several, but the developers in their defence are working quickly and I must say quite efficiently and speedily to iron out the minor issues and patch the game very quickly. All in all, the game is a fantastic piece of storytelling and a great game. If you're looking for an open world Skyrim-esque game, this is just not for you. But if you love turn-based combat, deep story, lore-filled worlds, rich characters and a great choice system, the Banner Saga is right up your street. It speaks volume about the three guys at Stoic who have not only shown a great level of talent by building this, but to do it in such a way that does not compromise on quality and storytelling is fantastic. The game really does get you to make an emotional connection with the characters, and it really just grips you the entire way through the plot. The game is available now on Steam for £18.99. That is around $25 in the US, and I do think it is worth every penny. And that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. Do like, subscribe and leave a comment, and I will see you next time.